Welcome to the Beasts of the NFC East. I am your host, Sean Gnitzcavich, with my co-host, Jeremy Goode. We're back for Season 3. We don't care that we only get 50 views usually. This year is the year. We're blowing up. Football is back. You might have not been paying attention, but now everybody's talking about their fantasy drafts and you want to tune in. Well, guess what? We got everything you need to know about what's been happening this offseason. I'm here with my amazing co-host. It is so good to say this. Jeremy Goode, what is good?
Very exciting NFL season back. It's been back since, I guess, the draft. But when you get to training camp, we've already done week 1 of preseason. Pretty remarkable how close we are to the start of the NFL season. It's a long break, but it's also the NFL season. I've said this before. You've said this too, Sean. There's no real break within the year, which is great. End of the season, Super Bowl. You go into free agency pretty quickly afterwards, and then the draft, then OTAs, etc. And now here we are, August, about to go with the season, a few weeks away. So just crazy.
It feels like it never ends, and then it comes so quickly, you know? Like, it's like, you're like, oh, the season's finally over. Oh, we have this many days till the draft, and then the draft is here. And then we're recapping the draft, free agency. Like, it never ends. For somebody like me who Googles the Giants every time I take a dump, like, I have not tuned out of the NFL. But it is like, well, especially for the Giants. But then, like, you know, we're watching these preseason games and you're like, oh, Michael Gallup's on the Commanders, and there's probably Commanders fans that are like, you don't know that. I'm like, yeah, dude, I follow this. But there's so many moving parts, and it's so fun to like watch, like tune into a preseason game, and you're like, oh, this guy's on there, and then even some draft prospects that like after a couple months, you're like, oh, they ended up going to that team, you kind of forget, and then you see them blowing up on rosters, and it's exciting, man. But how about those New York Football Giants? Huh? Oh my gosh, preseason superstars. But I did want to ask you this because Jeremy is our resident Eagles fan here. If you don't already know, you clicked on a video for the Beasts of the NFC East. We cover the NFC East, and we're talking NFC East. But Jeremy is our resident Eagles fan. And because I haven't experienced a Super Bowl for my home team since I was a sophomore in high school, I kind of forget, like, at this point in the year now, you know, you're reigning champs, do you still feel like you're Super Bowl champions, or are you like, okay, new slate?
It's tough, and it's a good question. It's something that the team has been working on too. They've completely said they've moved on. I believe it, and they sort of have to be in that mindset. As a fan, it's just tough. It's exciting to win. It always stays with you. So like half and half. I'd say. I say, like, if I'm arguing with a Giants fan, a Cowboys fan, I am pulling that super card out in a second.
Oh yeah,
in a 100%. Second. So, but, you know, you also want to be focused. It's a different team than 3-4 months ago. Like, if, you know, a lot of guys moved on, a lot of guys got paid, a lot of guys just moved to other teams. So it's a little both. You know, I'll store it in my back pocket still, and but, you know, you're focused on the new year, new team, new players with new roles. So you got to move on that way a little bit, but it never gets old. And you know, you definitely take your victory lap during the summer. You sort of wish that could live on a little more, but we're so close to the season start that you're sort of in it now for 2025 going onward, and hopefully defending that title.
Yeah, and a lot of things have changed. Like you said, like, it's not the same Super Bowl team. I mean, you guys have like totally. I mean, you lost a lot of the defensive front players. You guys got a lot of an influx of. It's weird when I was watching your preseason game, which you guys looked really good too, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. But like seeing all these replacement players that you guys are going to probably turn into superstars that have kind of been like sitting on the edge of other teams. Like, you got Josh Uche coming off the edge. You got Azeez Ojulari, who I loved when we first drafted him, but, you know, didn't really pan out with injuries. He had a pretty solid year last year when he had to step in, and like he had like 6 sacks, 7 sacks, and like limited playing time.
Right.
So it's cool to see all that going on. But yeah, it changes very quickly. You know, I mean, when we started this podcast, we were coming off the Giants finally making the playoffs, a playoff win, Brian Dable Coach of the Year. I thought great time to start a podcast. The Giants are on the up and up. And instead, the past 2 seasons have been hell for the New York Football Giants. So things shift quickly. And especially for the Commanders, too. I think everybody's like, oh, they were 1 game away from the Super Bowl. They shocked expectations. But guess what? This is a totally new year. And their superstar wide receiver, Terry McLaurin, might not even be there. So let's get started. Let's dig into it. We'll go team by team. Obviously, Micah Parsons has requested a trade. Doesn't want to be with the Cowboys. Stephen Jones has been saying, and Jerry Jones. Well, Jerry Jones, I don't even know if he knows what he's saying, but Stephen Jones has been saying there's not trading Micah Parsons. And he contractually should be on this team this year. He's still tied to the Cowboys. He's in his 5th-year option. I don't know why they didn't extend him much earlier. This different sport, but like the Red Sox, they have that prospect who's a superstar. They know he's a superstar, Roman Anthony.
Right.
It is before he even finishes his rookie year. They signed him to an 8-year, multi-million-dollar contract. We knew since his rookie year, Micah Parsons was going to be a top 5 edge rusher in the NFL for the next decade. Obviously, you don't sign him maybe the first year, the second year, the third. But last year, they probably should have extended him before all these guys got paid, like T.J. Watt, like Zach Allen on the Broncos even got a big contract. And they paid him when he didn't need to be paid either. Like, there's examples of how to operate as a team. And we've seen Jerry Jones screw this up year after year after year and then have to pay the premium price for his players. Dak Prescott getting paid an hour before the first game of the season last year. Like, what are you doing, Jerry? Are you asleep at the wheel, man? It's crazy. So you want to talk contracts before we talk all these preseason superstars? Or
yeah, sure.
I mean, I guess there really isn't much on the front. I mean, for all we know, we were reading right before we got in here, just because things change so quickly with these contract things. There's a lot of stuff going on behind closed doors. Micah Parsons is nowhere near terms with the Cowboys at this point. And they're saying they're not trading him. We have no idea. I think he's going to be a Cowboy. I don't care. I'm starting to love Micah, especially with that big written thing. Like, I don't want to be a Cowboy. Like, his statement sounded like he's off the team. He's talking about how much he loves Abdul Carter. And people are like, oh, bring him to the Giants. That's not going to happen, as much as I would love that. That's fantasy land. Jeremy, where do you see this contract going with Micah Parsons?
Yeah, just to add on to what you said, I agree with everything you said about Dallas, how Jerry's acting. This is what they do. They don't sign guys early because that would give them the power, the satisfaction of getting an early contract, even though you'd be saving money on guys like Micah, giving them early contracts, and they'd be happy. You have them for the future. But then ultimately Jerry has to cave, and at the last minute, we'll eventually sign these guys to the most top dollar that they could get, and it actually costs the Cowboys in cap space and money overall too. They don't get deals done, or the deals aren't as good for the team. And we see why Dallas doesn't win Super Bowls, why they don't win Super Bowls, why they don't go to NFC championship games, period, why they don't go – they're never serious. They always have good teams, but they're never a serious team, and they'll always collapse in the playoffs. It's for reasons like that. I agree with you too, Sean. I think they'll work something out with Micah. It's going to be messy. It's already ugly. It's unfortunate that the players just don't have that much control. If they don't play, they won't get paid. They have to conform. They have to just suck it up eventually. It seems like players with Dallas also do that all the time, where they eventually cave. I think they get something done, but it's going to be ugly. The relationship, I think, is definitely beaten up, like in a bad way that I think will last forever.
I mean, yeah, I mean, Micah literally said he doesn't want to play for the Cowboys. Like, his statement sounded like he was already off the team. Like, it sounded like a done deal. I think that's just negotiations. I did see that Dak Prescott, he said that, like, what changed between him signing with the Cowboys after, second big contract with the Cowboys, was Jerry Jones reaching out to him personally and talking, which is something that Micah Parsons slammed, that Jerry Jones reached out and tried to get contracts going without his agent around. Yeah. But I think that's like, Jerry Jones is over here living this fantasy life where he gets to own a team and run a team and be the GM of his team. So I think he just has too much power, and he loses touch of what these players want and what they need. And I think that he thinks no matter what, he's going to get his way, and that's probably where Micah got offended.
In his way, in his way too, is also just a miserable way to run a team. Like he'll do it his way. His way has sucked for the last 25 years. Obviously, it worked in the 90s with Aikman, with Irvin, with Emmitt Smith. That worked. It's different now. He's out of touch. He's older, which I think plays into a part too. His way with Dallas, it doesn't work. I love it, but it's just they still can field competitive teams, but in terms of winning in the long term, getting to the Super Bowl doesn't work with the way he does it. And it's just like so condescending. And like he goes after Micah for the injuries and being like the reason why that's why he doesn't want to pay him. My goodness, what an awful thing to say about players who play football.
Yeah, he said he missed 6 games, but he only missed 4 games. And it's bogus, man.
Jerry, he's not choosing to miss games. He's getting hurt because it's a very dangerous sport. I understand teams being careful about signing players because of injury history, possibly. I get that. You don't say that to the media. You don't say that to the public, and you don't make that like it's a negative, like it's the player's fault. Just insane what's come out of Dallas the last month on the Micah front. Oh my gosh.
And it's funny because this is the same guy who paid way too much for Zeke Elliott, even when Zeke Elliott was kind of in his prime, but was dealing with all these legal issues too. Like Micah might say some dumb stuff on podcasts, but Micah is a stand-up guy. He's like the face of the NFL. Like the NFL uses him all over the place. You lock that guy in, not Zeke Elliott, who's getting arrested exposing women in New Orleans. But that's
And just talent wise too. I think we've mentioned the talent, like talent wise, like you have to pay these. You have to pay these guys. They don't come around that often. He's a top 3 edge in the NFL, maybe higher too. It depends where you put Garrett.
Defensive Player of the Year candidate every single year.
Watt, etc. Right, but like just his abilities and what, you just have to pay them. It's not if they have a podcast and talk a little bit, it's unfortunate. You can try to tame that. The talent gets paid. You have to pay that. That's what you signed up for. So
yeah. And I do want to get into the New York Football Giants. Trust me, I'm chomping at the bit. But let's cover this Terry thing really quick. Terry McLaurin. This one is a little bit more interesting because Terry has been the Washington Commander football team, Redskin. He's been all 3. He's been with this team. He is by far their best offensive weapon right now, aside from Jaden Daniels. But I mean, he's one of the reasons why they made it to the NFC Championship game. He finally got to see his true potential because he's been playing with crap quarterbacks his entire career and still 1,000 yard. Yes, he's 29 years old, turning 30. And there's history with superstar wide receivers. Once they turn 30, the production's not there. The thing is, he got drafted later. I think he was either 23 or 24 when he got drafted. He hasn't been dealing with injuries. I know he wants to DK Metcalf money, which we just looked at that. That was what, 4 years, 150 million?
I think 150 maybe.
150, so $30 million a year. Yeah. And then we were also just looking at the Courtland Sutton, who also just got paid, also 29, also has been like a perennial 1,000-yard receiver, but has dealt with more injuries. We're looking at the Courtland Sutton, which I think the Commanders would give Terry the Courtland Sutton contract any day. So I believe that is also 5 years, 90 mil, correct? 4 years, 90 mil. $92 million extension. But he only has $40 million guaranteed. That's only a 2-year contract, essentially $20 million a year. I don't know. Terry, I think Terry is a tier above Courtland Sutton. I also you can argue, aside from age, because he was in the same draft as DK Metcalf, just a little bit older. I mean, I think he is worth, talent-wise, if you scrape age off of there, he's worth the DK Metcalf contract.
I
Do you
think he's
agree?
been. I think he's been a more productive player than DK Metcalf. If
100%.
so, yeah, I
Yeah.
think minus age, yeah, in terms of production, in terms of value as a player, yeah, totally agree.
I mean, he was in that same draft with DK Metcalf. You know,
Yeah,
he was an afterthought in that draft. I mean, he was the second Ohio State wide receiver drafted. Paris Campbell got all the hype, and he's been on the
yep,
Giants. He's been on the Eagles. He hasn't really panned out, but
yeah,
also somebody who dealt with injuries. But yeah, Terry, yeah, he's older. He hasn't dealt with any injury, like at all, and he's just been Mr. Consistent, Mr. Washington. Like, you pay that guy. I don't care. Like, if there's somebody who gets a hometown deal, Terry McLaurin is the guy. And also, like, in terms of not just for a feel-good story, he's integral to your team right now. Because
yeah.
Deebo Samuel, awesome, fun, great. It looks great on Madden, but we don't even know what Deebo Samuel is. He looked like that's why the Niners got rid of him last. Like, the Niners aren't parting way with Deebo Samuels if he's still in his prime. But Deebo Samuel had one great season, and everything else has been pedestrian since then.
He's being paid too. That's the thing. That's I mean, it's a greater thing about why I disagree with Washington's offseason. But Debo's being paid, and McLaurin's looking at that saying, I was here from the start. I was here when we were bad. Last year was the first year we were really relevant in my career. Let's reward me, but also you'll take right now. I take McLaurin over Deebo Samuel as a receiver if I could pick by.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Without any question. So, it's tough. It's tough for Washington because they've paid a lot of older guys this offseason, and now there's now I guess McLaurin fits in not as much as the older guy as some of the guys they've signed, but 29 turning 30, and he wants big money, $30 million a year. They're gonna have to find it. They were giving out a lot of money in the offseason to guys who I think are a little beyond their prime. So tough situation.
I mean, yeah. Especially the Commanders are like a retirement home aside from Jaden Daniels. Like, they have all the players in the back end of their career. Von Miller, Bobby Wagner, Zach Ertz, and they're getting good production out of them. Why not? Why not Terry? Why not Terry? I don't know. I think that's bogus. I do also, like, just quick to wrap this up, I think Terry gets signed. I think they figure it out. I think he gets probably something that looks like the DK Metcalf contract with maybe less guarantees. And that's my thoughts there, Jeremy. What do you think?
I could see that too. I'll take the yes, no answer here. I'll call it 50-50. I can honestly see him on another team just because it's I think Washington needs Terry more than Terry needs Washington.
100%,
and I think that at this point, another team who might have a little bit of money, who's also good, looks at this and says, we'll give you 4 years. We'll do a little 4-year 120 little thing if you want to be if you want to match the Deebo Metcalf contract a little bit in terms of money per year. So we'll see there. So, but I could also see him returning. Yeah, I think it's 50-50. We'll see if they're able to mend that relationship ultimately. And that'll be the difference between if he's in Washington or another team this year.
Yeah. And I think that's enough with the contract because, like, you could talk this all day. Everything looks like the reports are getting fed by the team and by the agents. So like, everything's skewed. They show us what they want us to see. We have no idea how close either Micah or Terry really are until we know. All right, let's talk about the preseason and the New York Football Giants, if you don't mind, if we start with them, because I think the Eagles had a pretty good preseason game, but I think you guys don't care as much as the New York Football Giants. Because,
we did not.
Yeah, you like, and it is preseason, but with the New York Giants, I know we retained Dable, we retained Shane, but the players that have come in, it is a totally new team this year. It's new vibes. We got 2 new quarterbacks. Daniel Jones is finally on the Colts looking like crap, not looking like crap for the Giants. The Giants have been looking good this preseason, this offseason. But you want to see it in game action. So putting it out there on the field, in the preseason game was awesome. And the Giants performed. Jeremy, did you get a chance to tune in?
I did not, unfortunately. I think it was in the middle of the day on Friday, possibly? Saturday, yeah. So, yeah, I did not get to see. I saw the highlight. I saw the Jackson Dart throw to the end zone for the touchdown, but I did not see anything else.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, dude. It was really annoying because these preseason games usually have like certain teams, like whatever broadcasters, and it was the Bills broadcasters, and they would not shut up about the Bills. Jackson Dart throws his first ever touchdown ever, preseason game. It's exciting. This could be a future Hall of Famer we're talking about. And the commentator, former Bills legend, I can't remember his name, whatever. He's still talking about the Bills' attendance in the stadium last year. I'm like, Jackson Dart just threw a dime. This is the most exciting play. Like, show some excitement, show some respect to my boy Jackson Dart. But enough about that. Jackson Dart looked good, and that's something that he's looked good in preseason. First ever throw in training camp was an interception.
Yes,
that's not good. But you know what? Who cares? That's a trivia question. That doesn't matter. Also, you're learning. You gotta make these throws. You gotta learn what you can and you cannot throw. But he looked great.
Means the defense is really good too.
Oh yeah, and hey, you know what, dude? The Giants defense actually has been looking good. I don't know if you saw, but we have the Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four, which is going to set us apart. That's Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence, who we haven't really seen, didn't play in the preseason opener, hasn't really been practicing as much. He's healthy, he's good, giving him a break. He's also a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. And obviously, Abdul Carter. And Abdul Carter looked like, as advertised, the menace. If you are a betting man, put all your money on Abdul Carter, Defensive Rookie of the Year, because he is legit. Everybody said that he looks like the best player on the Giants, no matter what, all offseason. Like the way he performs, better than Malik. Well, Malik looks really good too. Don't get me wrong, but like that. I mean that's what I'm saying. I mean, obviously Andrew Thomas hasn't been on the field. Dexter Lawrence hasn't been on the field. But even like experienced, well-respected edge rushers like Brian Burns and even Kayvon Thibodeau, Abdul Carter has been outshining them. And you saw this in the preseason game. And this isn't like the Bills were playing their starters too. So it's not like these guys are like, obviously it's not up to scale. They're not doing all these weird play calls. But up on Deion Dawkins, Temple Owl, respect, we're Temple Owls. Abdul Carter was just wrecking him. There was only three passing plays that Abdul Carter was in for. Do you know how many pressures he got in those 3 passing plays, Jeremy?
I'm going to guess 3.
3 for 3. Yeah, no sacks, but he was there every single time, disrupting it. I mean, he is a beast. He is unreal. And what the Giants are doing, which I really love, is they on every third down during like the preseason, in the offseason, all this camp, and then also in this game, they throw him in on the interior in between Burns and Kayvon, and that front four at every third down is going to be lethal. Having those 4 on the field, and I think that's what you need. Like obviously, you can't have them all 4 on the field at all the time. You know, it doesn't even really make sense that way. But you need to maximize that. So I hope that continues throughout the season, that every third down, you're going to see that Fantastic Four front because it's going to be special. I'm glad that Kayvon got his 5th-year option too, because I would love to see him on the team too. I think like the Giants Super Bowl teams, they had that depth, that edge. They had 3 really good star edges that they could rotate and also throw on the field at the same time, get creative with. I mean, that's going to be the key to the New York Football Giants making a big push this year. And I mean, that any analyst would say the same thing. Like the key to the Giants, if they really want to make a big change, is that defense stepping up the way that they have. Javon Hollins looked good too, free agent addition. Paul Adebo's looked really good. Drew Phillips is stepping in the way he has been. Deontay Banks, though, that's probably the other big story on the defensive side, is that Deontay Banks is in a camp battle for the starting spot as quarterback 2 with Cordell Flott. And Cordell Flott looks like he's winning it. He's dealing with injuries right now, but Cordell Flott looks like he's winning it. When they took out the ones during the preseason opener and the Bills' second stringers, Deontay Banks was still out there and struggling. He just can't get his head around. He can't, like, this has been a thing. He's got the physical tools. He's there. He's like all up. Like you look, he is attached to that wide receiver. He can never turn his head around. The receiver's able to make plays. He's not making plays on the ball. And that's not going to cut it. And I just saw Dan Duggan of The Athletic just said today that there's a stronger chance. I mean, he's not going to get cut, but there is a strong chance that he might get traded because I don't think he's winning the starting job.
Well, I was going to say, I guess if you can find a suitor to trade him, you go that route. I was going to say it might not be a bad thing to cut him if he's this bad. And I'm not saying, like, of course, like, you have to find a team that would want him from what he's shown in the NFL. A lot of teams don't want to give up picks or anything. And we don't see player for player trades a lot in the NFL too. It's going to be hard to get value for him. If they have to, cutting him might not be the worst thing, honestly, if they can't trade him. If it's one thing if players like are iffy and just like, you know, they're here and there, they can do some good things. If he can't make plays and it's just a liability and doesn't do anything, they have no part of a team. They don't add any value. And I think it's tough. Like, you know, it's a subtraction kind of.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen this with other first round picks. Emmanuel Forbes got cut by the Commanders last year.
Yeah.
You know, couldn't find any trade partners for him.
Yeah.
That was the same draft, same cornerbacks, picked too early. Deontay Banks, like, he's got the traits. I don't think they will cut him. I don't think they should cut him because honestly, like, our cornerback depth still is not that great. Like, behind him, if Cordell Flott wins that job, he wins that job. The thing is,
right,
I think they're just disappointed because they weren't trying to have Deontay Banks win the cornerback 2 spot. They had him as their cornerback 1 last year. They would just want him to be a good first-round pick, a decent, a serviceable starter, you know, which is all you can ask for out of a first-round pick.
I'm just saying, like, I'm just saying, like, sometimes you just have to rip the Band-Aid off, and it really cannot go understated. When you have guys who aren't on the team anymore to make bad plays and just be a liability, you are such a better team. It is amazing how much of a better team you are. You don't have to worry about that player. And, you know, the Eagles have been in that situation recently, and they've been there before, and they've just, you know, ripped the Band-Aid off and said, we're going to be better because you're not going to be on our team, and we're not even going to get anything for you. And it works a lot of the time. Honestly, I think it works all the time, but to a degree, it really can, you know, just be such a positive.
All right. Well, now let's flip to the Giants offense real quick, and then we'll get to the other NFC East teams and what's going on in their camps this offseason. But Jackson Dart makes his debut, and he's playing against the Bills ones, by the way, mind you. And he goes off. And he says he's mid. Brian Dable says 6'7". I don't even know what that is. That's some hip thing that the kids are saying. Jackson Dart, 12-19, 154 yards, 1 touchdown, a beautiful dime to little Jordan Humphrey. He also had really great chemistry all offseason, this guy, Montrell Washington. The Chiefs didn't only lose the Super Bowl last year. They also lost two free agents the Giants picked up. Nick Jones, who picked off Jackson Dart with the first interception. He looks really good as a backup slot cornerback. And Montrell Washington, who was, I think, a 5th-round pick for the Broncos a few years back. Hasn't really done anything in the NFL, but he's looked really good on the Giants. I'm pretty sure he's going to get a roster spot. He was the Giants' leading receiver. Actually, no, he wasn't. He was the Giants' leading receiver out of actual receivers. But he did great. 3 receptions, 60 yards. He looked good. He had 1 drop. But, yeah, Jackson Dart, it's exciting. Obviously, it's preseason. We've seen rookie quarterbacks come in preseason, look good, and then they never do anything in the NFL. But you also want to see him look good. And he did. He did. After Shedeur Sanders is getting all this love for having a decent preseason game. I think Jackson Dart matched that hype. And he looked poised. Didn't get any sacks. There was a lot of times where he had pressures. He was able to step in, even on that little Jordan Humphrey touchdown throw. He got hit on that throw. He looked good. And when he ran, he was decisive. He was the Giants' leading rusher. 3 rushes for 24 yards. No interceptions, which also, even though he threw an interception to start training camp, he has not been throwing an interception since. He's been good. He has been holding onto the ball a little bit more than he should, but he looked decisive in this game. So, I mean, the growth is there, especially from the start of training camp to now. Looks good. Want to keep it growing. Jeremy, what do you have to say about my boy, Jackson Dart?
It's an interesting situation that the Giants are in because it seemed like from the start they didn't want to start him as a quarterback. They would do Russ. I guess they might still be thinking that at this point. It's always tough when you draft. It's always tough when you have a rookie quarterback like that because you don't want to damage them early, especially because you probably don't think your team is going to be that good. But then you see him play like that and you go, well, he does give us our best chance to win, possibly. We don't know yet. I think Russ is just at this point of his career. I think he can win a few games, but I think that his play just won't be the difference in winning games and whatnot. That's where I think the Giants defense comes in. I think that's a real the real positive to this Giants team going into the season with that front five, those guys. The offense is the biggest question with the Giants this year. Obviously, Neighbors is great. Dart is going to probably be sitting on the bench for a little bit. And besides Neighbors, Andrew Thomas.
Who needs to get healthy. Still on the pup.
Yeah, that too. That too. And just from more too, from a playmaker standpoint, Darius Slayton.
Yeah.
Offense is I think you would agree offense is the biggest question for the Giants and could be an interesting year. If you're a Giants fan, it's good to see Dart lighting up a little bit of a preseason game. It's like I said, though, it's tough just because you know that he's not going to start and just having to wait on that. It's a weird situation, but I guess I think if the Giants are looking at this as another season where wait for next one, it might be annoying to the fans. There could be something there next season, I guess. Yeah.
I will say this. If this is a developing year, it's going to be a damn fun one because there's a lot of exciting players to watch. And Abdul Carter is one of them. But Russell Wilson also, no matter what you think, he's washed. Everybody's, you got Russell Wilson from the – guess what? Russell Wilson still made it to the playoffs. He played well last year. And he is the biggest upgrade from Daniel Jones. You're looking at a team that has had to deal with Jake Fromm, Mike Glennon, Daniel Jones, all this trash. Tommy DeVito coming out of nowhere and being our savior, but also kind of our killer by killing our draft stock. Russell Wilson has looked good. He has looked like the better quarterback throughout camp. It's obvious. But I'll tell you what, during that preseason game, watching both of them play, Russell Wilson was doing a lot more checking down, didn't look as comfortable as Jackson Dart did. There was that one deep pass that he had to Wan'Dale Robinson, which was like the clip highlighted all over the place. Like, oh, look at Russell Wilson throwing deep for Wan'Dale. Cool, whatever. The story at camp, though, has been, too, that Russell Wilson, aside from Malik Neighbors, and yes, he's launching it, he's throwing it deep down the field, it's been a lot of checkdowns to Theo Johnson and Tyrone Tracy, which, if you're a fantasy guy, keep an eye out for those guys. Because I know last year Wan'Dale Robinson was the guy who was getting checkered with passes. He was like, if you're a PPR team, Wan'Dale Robinson was a little sleeper.
PPR half point too, yeah.
Yeah, but Wan'Dale will probably be up there. I think Darius Slayton's going to be wide receiver too, but there's a chance that the second receiving threat on this team behind Malik Neighbors is not a wide receiver, and it's one of the running backs, Tyrone Tracy or Cam Scatterboot, dealing with a hamstring. He's going to be back, not worried about it. Or even Dante Miller, who had a great game as a check down merchant with 80 receiving yards. He looks good, and I definitely want him on the roster. He got player of the game. I love Turbo Miller. He was a UDFA that we got last year out of Boston College. Something happened with South Carolina with his transfer. Didn't get to play, whatever. He's a fast guy. He ran like a 4.29 or something. But, yeah, I think there's a good chance that it's Theo Johnson or Tyrone Tracy. One other thing I want to talk about with the Giants before we move on, because I know I can get a little carried away talking about the New York Giants. The offensive line, James Hudson, we signed him as a swing tackle. He looks like T-Pain, really cool. Guess what? He sucks. He's sucked all training camp. He's getting in fights because he keeps getting his ass kicked by the edge rushers.
I like that, though.
I like that. I like the fighting.
Badly, I like when guys go, you know what? I'm just going to fight that.
Yeah, but what I don't like is that he keeps losing, and that's why he's fighting. Because we saw it in the game. He stalled Russ's drive. First was a false start because he got scared of Joey Bosa coming off the edge. The second was a holding penalty during a run play. Right back to back. He looks like crap. You want to know who looks good, who should be the swing tackle? Marcus Bowe, our 5th-round pick. And it is so refreshing. He had 36 pass blocking snaps, and he allowed only 1 pressure. And that was playing left and right tackle. Like they're preparing him to be a swing tackle.
He's going to be a tackle. He's not going to be a guard.
No, they wanted him to play tackle, and he played tackle really well. In college, obviously, we've been talking about he was one of the players that we loved going into the draft. We did that 20 prospects that you need to know that you should love.
Yes.
We loved Marcus Bowe. Every single pick from the 3rd pick on. Yeah, Marcus Bowe looks good. And Bobby Skinner of the Giants Nation show, he always compares him kind of like to Elton Jenkins, who is another kind of like smaller tackle, very athletic, that they thought they were going to kick inside, falls in the draft, and ends up being a superstar tackle because of his athleticism. The reason why he was a good tackle in college. And that's what we're seeing right now. Maybe he's not the biggest guy. He's not winning with his body and power. But, I mean, there's those big guys like Evan Neal that can't handle it because of their movement, because of their athleticism. Marcus Bowe looks good. And that's just something to watch. I think if he can develop and if he can be our swing tackle, because I do not want to see T-Pain James Hudson out there. That is for sure. That is for sure.
Just to confirm, you're not taking a real shot at T-Pain. It's just the fact that he looks like T-Pain, correct?
He looks like T-Pain. Yes. I love T-Pain.
Nothing.
I'm in love with this stripper. Yeah. I mean, I'm not in love with this stripper. I'm engaged, and my fiance is not a stripper. But I do like that song by T-Pain.
All
right, Jeremy.
How to follow that? One thing I'll add to the Giants thing, and I think that you touched on a little bit, Sean. I think what the NFL has come down to is being able to get chunk plays and being able to move the ball down the field quickly and through long plays. I think it's interesting because I think with Pittsburgh, I think Pittsburgh and the Giants are similar. Pittsburgh with Kenny Pickett, they didn't have that ability, so drives would take longer. Than with Russell Wilson last year. It started off okay, but I think as the year went on, it was just tough. It was just tough for them to move the ball down the field quickly. Same with the Giants, I think, in my opinion. We saw it with Daniel Jones. When Daniel Jones was with the Giants, if you would go up a few scores, it's just tough for those teams with quarterbacks who can't throw the ball really down the field consistently, get big plays, be able to score in short stints. It's tough for them because it's tough for them to score to start off, and then they have to have long drives and finish it. So we'll see. That's why it's like, God, maybe you start Dart just because of some more like excitement in the offense and ability to move the ball in a quicker pace. Because with Wilson and with Russell, it's just like, at his age too, it's not even a bad, like it is what it is with this age, but like I think we've seen it with Pittsburgh last year. Down the stretch, it was just tough for them to move the ball and consistently score in a quick way if they had to. That's what the NFL's turned into. That's why Mahomes is so good. That's why Burrow, he's had a lot of talent too around him, but why it works. The Eagles have had a lot of ability to score quickly. It helps when Saquon can break one for 80 yards, so that's a little different. But in the air too, they've been able to. So that's why it's like maybe you just start Dart, but I don't, they have a plan, and I can respect that. They want to be. I don't know if I'd truly start Dart week 1, 2, just because it's a small task in hand. I don't know how. I think maybe the year, if he could sit a little bit and get ready, watching a little bit, especially with Wilson there. But
Winston too, and Jameis got that sick Heisman pose on that run play. Looked very.
Awesome. So? Do you think if I guess let's say Russell Wilson gets hurt week 1. Who's the quarterback that goes in? Jameis goes in then?
That's what I've been thinking all offseason, but
I can see it. No, I can see it.
No, but I do think that Jackson Dart is who will be strongly considered. I think there's a chance that Jameis goes in just because they do want to sit Dart. But if Jameis struggles, I think Dart's coming in there. And I think that will also set him up even better.
If they start Russell Wilson week 1, it would make me think that they just want Jackson Dart to sit if something were to happen week 1, it's like that shouldn't. I wouldn't think that would drastically change their mindset where they go, well, we have to get Jackson Dart out there. They do have Jameis as an option. I think a pretty good option too. For what it's worth, we'll see what the talent around him. But I guess Jameis in that situation would make sense to go in first.
Yeah. Well, you know what? He's going to be really fun in the in-season NFC EAST Hard Knocks, which is really sick that's happening this year. But you did mention Joe Burrow, who plays for the Bengals, who got their butts kicked by the Philadelphia Eagles in the preseason game on Thursday, man. Let's talk about those Eagles, man. Because the Bengals, they played their starters. They played their starters on offense and defense. And Tanner Mckee does. You made this joke. But Tanner Mckee does right now look like the second best quarterback in the NFC East.
He's
and maybe the best.
He
looks good,
maybe have a little controversy. It's fun. He 20 for 25, 252 yards, 3 touchdowns total, 2 throwing, 1 tush push, which was funny to see. He's going to his 3rd year. He had talent at Stanford, and they've really done a good job developing him, which has not always really been a strength. I mean, of the Eagles to develop backup quarterbacks. They've done good job.
I mean, Nick Foles, right?
Yeah. So
the Eagles have been the backup quarterback team.
They have, and it's nice. It's a good point too, because they've always had to spend like the $8 million, $10 million for a backup. They did it with Mariota 2 years ago, and Mariota was so bad. But they were putting so much money towards the backup, which a lot of teams have to do. It's nice to see you getting a cheap option with Tanner Mckee, who at this point, if a team wanted to trade for him, a team that doesn't have a quarterback, which is probably a bad team, which probably won't happen, because if you're a bad team right now, you'll probably just wait another year to get your own quarterback instead of trade for Tanner Mckee. But if a team were to want to trade for Tanner Mckee, if you're the Eagles, it's going to cost a first-round pick. His ability, absolutely.
First-round pick for Tanner Mckee? You think he's that?
If you're the Eagles, if you're the Eagles, and I'll tell you why.
Because you don't want to give him up.
So not right now, because you have 2 years of control with him, cheap, which is nice. You have Jalen Hurts, who has missed 1 to 2 games every year in whatever way, for whatever instance. Usually hasn't been serious, but he's always missed 1 to 2 games. If you have repeat aspirations, which they do, if you have the talent, which they do, you want to make sure, like, that backup quarterback position is a big deal. And the fact that we've seen Mckee, as he's so poised, he looks more like a traditional pocket passer, but he throws with anticipation. He's accurate, and he really does look like a pro. I joke around. I think he's a top 22 to 24 quarterback in the NFL right now, and I think that's saying something as a backup.
That's huge. That's huge.
Yeah, I think his talent. I think if you put him on the Saints, you're not necessarily seeing the stats with the Eagles. I can acknowledge that.
Which would make sense with Kellen Moore going over there too.
Totally. Yeah, that's a one team. I think the only reason why I don't think the Saints is because I think they're going to be so bad this year, and they'll just wait. They'll go through 17 games to wait for another quarterback, and I think that makes sense for them. But I think that would be a good landing spot for them if they did want to pursue a quarterback. If you're the Eagles, he could play games, and that he can play in this offense and be a contributor with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley. We've seen backups go in Mariota, and it's been ugly. So that's why I think that it would have to cost a first-round pick. Not that he's a first-round pick quarterback in talent, just the fact that his cheapness, the fact that he knows the system so well in year 3, and that he's produced at such a high level when asked upon. He played in 2 games last year one against the Giants, one against Dallas. They didn't mean much, although if you're the Eagles, you still have to win those games because you wanted the second seed and home field advantage ultimately, hoping that Detroit would lose, and they eventually did to Washington. He played great in those games. And again, I think he falls around the 22 to 25 range of starting quarterbacks in the NFL. And big guy, again, he's not necessarily a first round talent, but we've seen, when the Vikings needed a quarterback 8 years ago, when who went down? Yikes. Someone went down. It was for
Case Keenum. It was Sam Bradford.
Yes, they traded to the Eagles. They gave a first-round pick for Sam Bradford. Things have changed over the last 8-ish years or so. Teams are a little more cautious. But if you're the Eagles, if someone offers a second-round pick, I would say no, not for this year. Maybe next year. If you're in the same situation next year and he's going to be a free agent after next season, I would take a 2 at that point, because then you're just not going to get something for him. But right now, with 2 years control, at the money he's making and at the talent he's displayed in the system, I'm not taking anything less than a first. Again, difference between talent-wise and just like value-wise and what he offers to the team, in my opinion.
I like that take, dude. I told you, I said, hey, get your takes on the burner because we like them hot, and that's a hot take. But I like it, dude. I like it. Other Eagles off-season news. I mean, it was cool to see Johnny Wilson. He was a fun player coming out of the draft. He played pretty well in that preseason.
He's made some pretty impressive hard catches. He's also dropped a few easy ones that would have been first downs. As you know, Sean, I've said that I think one day the NFL will kind of track first downs for receivers as like a positive for them, like in terms of like how much money they make, who you sign and whatnot. First downs are big. They move the chains. They kill time. They allow you to continue a drive to hopefully score. Got to catch the easy ones. It's amazing that he catches the hard ones. And that's what he did at Florida State too in college. Yeah. He caught all the hard ones and dropped the easy ones. So I think Johnny Wilson still makes a team. I think his size and his ability to block as a receiver on the outside downfield is massive. Please just make the easy catches. Would be nice.
Yeah, and then in terms of your backup running back situation, because, hey, Saquon is fragile. I've experienced it firsthand. You think it's A.J. Dillon or Will Shipley?
Well, I think it's a good question. I think it's both ultimately. I think both make the team. Yeah. It was tough. It was tough to see going in because at first you're like, oh, A.J. Dillon, that's nice experience back. You never know running back. You never know. You never know how guys will respond after a neck injury like A.J. had.
Yeah.
And it seems like he's responded nicely. He's been running hard, running through tackles. Looks like he's done a good job, which is great. I think Will Shipley gets the backup job, though. His ability to catch the ball in the flat out of the backfield, it has been amazing. I think he has a little bit of wide receiver in him within that aspect. Yeah. As a runner, we didn't know much about him last year. I mean, I watched him at Clemson, and he was a productive running back. We didn't get to see him much last year just because Saquon got so much usage. He has looked nice as a running back too. I didn't know if he would. We didn't have much of a sample size last year. It also seemed like running wasn't as natural for him as catching. I think he still can be a decent running back in that aspect too. I think he gives you a little bit of shiftiness in the backfield running the ball. And I think that as a catcher too, that's where he is a real threat. So I think Shipley will win the RB2 job. But then I think they could sprinkle in Dillon and short yardage.
Yeah, he's a good tush pusher. So, he's got the thighs for
that too. Squats for days. So, I think Shipley will get it. I wouldn't be surprised if they give it to A.J. Dillon, I guess I'd say. Although maybe I'd be a little, but I could see it, I should say. Yeah.
Yeah. Other news with the Philadelphia Eagles. How's that first round pick doing?
He looks like a freak. I mean, he recovered earlier than expected. They thought they were going to get him back in August. He was out there in late July. And this is, I should say that when they were predicting right after they drafted him when he would be healthy.
Jahad
Campbell,
if you know. Yeah.
Yes, Jahad Campbell is a
boy.
It's nice. Yes, Alabama, Roll Tide. He reminds me a lot of Micah. He's not Micah. He's not as good as Micah. It's the idea of the versatility where he's able to drop back in coverage, hog space in the middle of the field, but ultimately also be able to get to the quarterback and rush the passer. He's working on that. I don't think that's going to be there from week 1, but we're working on that. Just his speed, just his size and quickness as a whole, it's pretty impressive, and I'm excited for him. I think the injury was untimely during the draft, but I think some teams, obviously not the teams at the very top of the draft, I think teams from 10 onward who didn't take him, I don't understand. I understand injuries are concerning, but
I thought he was a Cowboy. I thought he was a Cowboy. I thought he was going to be a Cowboy. I thought
I could have seen that.
If it fell to that, like having 2 Micah Parsons style edge rusher hybrids, when we did those mock drafts, he never fell to the Cowboys in this mock drafts, which were Jihad Campbell looks good. Ty Robinson has looked good. I've heard good things out of him. He had a sack in that preseason game. That's really exciting.
He's been good. He's been good in training camp too. Older guy, 24 years old. That probably scared off some teams. Understandable, but if you're that big and that productive and tested as well as you did at the combine and had a good year, he only also really had 1 good year in Nebraska this last year too. But when you put all that together, I get why teams might not want to use a top 3 pick. I think that the talent should. I think 3rd round. I would do it, but alas, he looks good, and they need to replace Milton Williams. Just traded Thomas Booker. I always want to say Trevor Booker, the NBA player. They just traded Thomas Booker to Vegas. So I think Robinson could be in the rotation for sure. Big body, athletic. So yeah.
The other thing I really want to see how the Eagles are progressing this offseason. They're quarterback 3 behind Cooper DeJean and your boy. Quinyon Mitchell. Is it Keely Ringo or is it Adoree Jackson? Or is it Lewis Cine? I don't know.
It's probably a tie right now. They just traded for Bennett, who was the cornerback in Las Vegas, who man-to-man is a pretty solid corner. We'll see if he can get implemented. Maybe he could be cornerback 2 to go along Quinyon on the outside and Cooper in the slot. Keely, you've seen Adoree Jackson, Sean, with the Giants.
He's fallen off the past couple of years.
Nice player, but he's 29. I really don't want him to win the job, but it doesn't.
Hey, we're 29.
Yeah, true.
It's just sad to see. They're falling out of their athletic prime. They're 29. I'm like, damn. Well, thank God.
That is true for sure. Yeah, I mean, I really want Keely to win the job, but he neither have been bad, but they just haven't made plays. They haven't gone after it. They haven't gone after it. They haven't won the job. It's tough because Slay was such a good CB2 for them last year. He was injured every other play, but he got out there 3 plays later. It was never serious, so that was nice. They also had Isaiah Rodgers as a backup to come in. A lot of people wanted him signed. Maybe it would have been nice. I think hindsight's a little 2020. When Isaiah Rodgers got extended time for the Eagles, I thought that play dipped a little bit. But when you need him for, a few snaps here and there, even a little more, like a series or 2, he was okay. We'll see that it'll be interesting what they do at safety. It'll be interesting at CB2. I think that's their biggest weakness right now is quarterback 2. And it can be a big weakness if it doesn't get fixed because people will just not throw to Quinyon's side and they will test Keely or Adoree. And it seems like with maybe Bennett could be something, but we'll have to see. Someone's got to win the job. Someone's got to make plays. And the problem with Keely is I think that he's better, but he's just not making plays. He's not breaking up passes. He's reading the plays right, but he's just not finishing it off, I think, which is difficult.
Anything else you want to talk about the Eagles this offseason before we move on to the Commanders and Cowboys? Any big storylines? So. No.
They won the Super Bowl. They got Super Bowl wings with wings that come out. So that's exciting.
Cool. Good for you guys.
Thank you.
All right. Let's do. I mean, I think the biggest storylines we already touched upon for the Commanders and the Cowboys,
Yes,
and those are
I
their
agree.
two superstars who are looking for trades. But there's a bunch of really fun camp battles, like I've been talking about with the Commanders. I know me and you were both really high on Ben Sinnott. Well, kind of high.
Yep.
He was a second-round pick, and just really haven't seen anything out of him. And it sounds like Lawrence Cager, who is wide receiver converted to tight end out of Georgia, that the Giants have had on their team for the past 4 years, is looking like the tight end 2 behind Zach Ertz, and Ben Sinnott's nowhere to be seen. I think he had 2 catches for 10 yards. The athleticism that got him selected in the second round has not been showing up. He was an afterthought all last year. I think he might have had like 3 catches on the whole season. So that's kind of sad to see. Something that I am stoked about that I get to kind of follow is my boy Ja'Cory Brooks, who I fell in love with watching Tyler Shuck tape out of Louisville last year. Former Alabama player out of Louisville. I don't even think he was drafted. I think he was just UDFA. I know that he might have like personality issues, I heard. I know he's a little bit older, but he was their superstar on offense and a relatively ass kicking by the Patriots in their preseason game where they lost 48-18. But Ja'Cory Brooks, 5 catches, 59 yards. And hopefully he makes this team. Because honestly, you got Terry. You don't have Terry yet. Hopefully you have Terry. You have Debo. Luke McCaffrey, I feel like hasn't really done – well, he didn't do anything last year for a third-round pick too. Talking about somebody else. You got Michael Gallup in the mix, which is fun, the ghost of Michael Gallup. But, yeah, I hope Ja'Cory Brooks is the guy that comes in there.
Yeah, he it seems to I don't know if I should say this, but it seems like camp where training camp has really helped a certain position is the wide receiver position, especially guys who are undrafted, who might not have, who might have been productive in college but didn't like flash amazing measurables. And then they go with the team and they look great in practice and preseason. There's a kid right now on the Eagles, Taylor Moore, who had at the open practice last night, had a pretty good showing. I don't think he's going to make the team, but like with receivers, it's like if you make plays and you're going to have opportunities for them, I think that's a position that has like one of the most opportunities to make plays during, preseason games. Anything, it doesn't really matter who the name is, where you come from. If you make plays and a team carries 6 receivers, even 5 receivers, you could be wide receiver 5, wide receiver 6. So yeah, I think with Brooks, and especially with his, with being a 5-star out of high school, I guess maybe some people had him as a 4-star. I think some had 5, but he has the pedigree and maybe a little bit of name recognition as an undrafted free agent or a late round pick. Well, Louisville will help him, his camp battle in Washington. I don't know who they have in the bottom after McCaffrey, but there could be some options.
No, like I said, like Michael Gallup. I think he makes the roster. I hope he does, and if he doesn't, he's going to get picked up because these wide receivers. The reason why they're getting this production in preseason games and they're getting this production in camp and showing up is because these backups who are competing for jobs, they don't care who you are. They need wide receivers who can be reliable and make plays so that way they look better and they can stay on the roster. And that's why guys like Ja'Cory Crossing Merritt, we'll do it to him, but Ja'Cory Brooks is shining. And guys like Montreal Washington, who I didn't have on the radar at all for the Giants, has been showing out because he's just been that good for Jackson Dart.
Yeah, like you make a good point too. And just to extend on that, Sean, even though these guys are playing to make the team that they're currently on, they're essentially auditioning for other teams in case they don't make that team. And if you play well in training camp as a wide receiver and you don't make your team, some team will pick you up. Or at the very least, you'll be brought onto the practice squad team if you do clear waivers. But most of the time, these guys won't clear waivers. There's going to be a team out of 32 that'll pick them up for sure. And I think that's where it's interesting, especially just one last point on the Eagles. Yeah. Kyle McCord hasn't looked great, but if you keep DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who's looked better over Kyle McCord, I don't think Kyle McCord is going to clear waivers. But now it looks like DTR won't clear waivers because he's playing well. So it's an interesting little battle. It goes with Brooks. So like if it doesn't work out with Washington, I assume that some team would pick him up if he were cut.
Yeah, the other thing, their backup battle, if Jaden Daniels gets hurt, Sam Hartman doesn't look good. I mean, he looks good physically. I mean, people are reminded of that all the time. He's a very handsome man, but
Right.
athletically, not looking that good.
Yes.
Josh Johnson has been outperforming him as the backup. And Josh Johnson, everybody knows, has played for like every single NFL team. And he's
except the Eagles.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing, the running back battle, I think is really interesting in Washington. It sounds like Brian Robinson Jr. is the guy still, but like they rotated. And Brian Robinson Jr., Bama guy, always has been just solid. Austin Eckler in that mix, but Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt, which was one of their later round picks. Yes, I fed them. But he's been looking good in training camp. A lot of people in the fantasy community have been talking about keep him, in your periphery. I think is in line for an Austin Eckler type role as a receiving running back, kind of that short area quickness. He looked good in the one game he got to play in college last year. He dealt with issues with transferring. It was bogus, but we'll see. He didn't really have a great showing in this preseason game that would, make him jump off the pages, but all the reports throughout the off-season training camp is that he looks good. So keep him in mind. Don't forget about Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt. They love their Ja'Corys over in Washington.
Yes. I think Washington should help their quarterback Allen get a little bit better of an option at running back instead of having to go to the committee thing. It kind of worked last year, but just having someone who could be, that bell.
Yeah, we can't all have Saquon Barkley. Can't all have.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe that's the the roadblock that I'm having for some reason. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you what the Giants running back to. I don't want to talk about it all day, but Cam's got to be a Tyron Tracy Jr. That'd be great. And Devin Singletary is a good backup, but whatever. You want to know who else is having issues with their running back room? The Dallas Cowboys. And this is our last team. We finally get to them. Like we said, Micah is the big thing. They also got a pretty cool quarterback in Joe Milton, who looked, like a quarterback who should be a backup, but still has some really fun, exciting plays. He has a rocket of an arm. Coach Brian Schottenheimer was the OC for Brett Favre, I think, back in the Jets, and he compares Joe Milton's arm to Brett Favre's, Hall of Famer. Brett Favre, maybe not a good person, good arm. Joe Milton, also really good arm. Like all of my Tennessee friends here in Nashville will tell you, Joe Milton, you need him to throw a 90-yard ball, he'll throw a 90-yard ball. You need him to throw a 10-yard ball, he'll throw a 90-yard ball. he's got a good arm. He's fun to watch. And obviously, like if Dak has dealt with injuries, so if he goes down, I think I'm more excited to watch Joe Milton's roller coaster ride than like Steady Eddie Cooper Rush.
Yeah.
He's fun. He's exciting, and they did the same thing where they looked at Trey Lance, who actually looks good for the Chargers right now. Obviously looked like crap for him last year. He threw like 5 interceptions in the first preseason game or something like that. But yeah, and then the other thing is the running back position, which we knew, I don't know, for 2 drafts in a row, we've known that they've had to address the running back position. They couldn't even sign Rico Dowdle, who played well for them last year. Goes to the Panthers, and then they get the Panthers scraps, which were Eagles scraps, and Miles Sanders, who I guess is firmly competing with Javonte Williams, who also is a shell of himself ever since he got injured with the Broncos. But I guess. And Phil Maffa is looking good, I guess, too. I want to say that. Right. Jaden Blue, who was their higher drafted running back, also looks okay, firmly in the mix there. What were you going to say, Jeremy?
Well, it's funny because last year they didn't address the running back room at all, and that's one of the big reasons why they were so bad. Like, if you don't put anything into your running back room, if you don't address it at all, if you're bringing Ezekiel Elliott at this point in age to take snaps, you're just not gonna. It's just not going to be good. And this year, I guess they've made moves, but like, I don't think you can expect much from Javonte Williams. I've seen Miles Sanders. I don't think you can expect much from him. I think if anybody's going to shine in this backfield, it's going to be Phil Maffa and Jaden Blue. Those 2 rookies that are
Phil Maffa is more of a bruiser, like hard running back, and Jaden Blue. I mean, we saw him at Texas,
A little smaller.
and he was in a committee there too with Wisner or whatever.
Yes,
he was in a committee there, and I think that's how he's going to thrive here as a receiving back. He's got the speed. He's not an every down back. That's why he fell to the 5th, 6th round. I mean, that's the type of player that Jaden Blue is.
Yeah,
and he could be exciting. I know a lot of people in the fantasy communities are keeping their eye on him because they don't know who's going to be the Cowboys backfield superstar. But honestly, if you're a fantasy guy and you're looking for Cowboys running backs, you're probably looking for a losing season. I would probably steer clear of all of them. Find them on the waiver wire once one finally gets good. Anything else you want to talk about the Cowboys, Jeremy?
I saw a referee run over CeeDee Lamb on the sideline, which was the
biggest storyline of the game.
Yeah, interesting. I don't know. We'll see with Dallas. They I just don't. Their defense last year was awful. I don't. The Dak wasn't good. They had injuries, but they were still a bad team, even if they were healthy. Schottenheimer's now their head coach. It just seems
Tyler Guyton's their O-line replacements aren't looking as good as they did.
It seems like this is like another like patch season with Dallas where they try to patch a few things here and there, but they just don't have enough talent, and it really starts at the quarterback position after giving him that contract. Dak.
I think Dak is underrated. He's been dealing with injuries, which is also he's a thing. It's a thing.
What do you mean when you say underrated? What do you mean by that?
I think when Dak is healthy and on the field, he's a top 10 quarterback. I do. Yeah, I think Dak Prescott is a top 10 quarterback.
Yeah, I think that when he's healthy, there's talent. I think his inability to finish in the playoffs hurts him, and I think that he looks like a Hall of Famer against the Eagles. I'll give you that, but it's just we know who Dak is. We've seen who Dak is. Countless times. They gave him that contract, so he has to stay unless someone trade for him, which I don't think they would do at his age, with his health, with the money they'd have to give him. So, yeah, they've sort of made their bed with him, and Dallas is Dallas. They tell the story the way they want to. They live in the past. They go back to the 90s. Which is why you have to tip your cap to the Giants, because they don't go back to 2007, 2011 like Dallas lives in the 90s. I'll just be like, from a serious perspective, they're just Dallas. They're just there, but I don't know if they're like. It doesn't seem like there's much there, like realistically with them. I don't know.
Yeah, it's. I actually haven't even seen that much out of Tyler Booker either. I was just going to go do a little double check. But, it's not good seeing Tyler Guyton go down, who didn't even play good at all. But, yeah, it's rough. But I'll tell you what, dude, George Pickens, which I don't think we're talking enough about, is going to be exciting. And everybody says that he's looking really good. He's in a contract year. I mean, this is a huge duo. CeeDee Lamb, obviously top 5 wide receiver in the league, has the chance to be the number 1 wide receiver in the league every single year. He's got that talent. He's got that production. He's got that skill set. And I think it'll only shine even more with George Pickens there. Because you've seen a lot of good Dallas Cowboy wide receiver 1-2 punches with Michael Gallup and Amari and Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. Like, once they traded away Amari Cooper, it's just been CeeDee Lamb. So now finally, they got a good 1-2 there again with George Pickens. So as much as you want to write them off, like they have a great wide receiver duo there, and they might not have a running back, but they have weapons for Dak. So we'll see how this pans out.
We'll see. I mean, we've seen Pickens in Pittsburgh, and we saw definitely flashes, and he was a good player. I think consistency is a big thing with him. So we'll see. We'll see in Dallas. Obviously, they have 2 options on the outside, but I guess he's going to a contract year too, if I'm not mistaken. But
contract year,
they'll. It's big to replace Amari. I always thought that was a mistake. I was glad that they did that and not really put someone in this place. So we'll see.
We'll see. And Amari Cooper's still a free agent right now because he kind of did fall off age-wise, but he's old. Well, I think that's an episode. We're already in mid-season for him, Jeremy. We said, hey, let's try to keep this 45 minutes and it's an hour and 10 in. So we're cruising. Anything else you want to say before we wrap this up, Jeremy?
No. Yes, the Eagles won the Super Bowl last year.
And the Giants are going to win it this year. Go football Giants. If you're watching at this point, thank you so much. If you're a Cowboys fan and you think that we neglected them, if you think that we didn't give them proper respect, let us know down there in the comments. Just type it in. Just do a little typey type. Do a thumbs down if you want. But thank you guys for tuning in. As always, I'm Sean Gnitzcavich with my great co-host, Jeremy Goode. And we are here, and football season is here, and I'm excited. Go Giants.